Welcome. Today we are reviewing Tom Clancy's Without Remorse, a 2021 film released on Amazon Prime featuring Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan's character, John Kelly, is a Navy SEAL, and in the beginning of the film we see him performing his duty by attempting to rescue a CIA agent person in another country, doing the CIA a solid. Yet, it turns out the country's military were the ones holding the CIA person. So the team was fighting against the foreign country's military without knowing they were going to, and potentially making waves with the foreign country's government. But they go home and forget about it. But it appears the foreign country's government didn't. The Navy SEALs months later that were in the mission turn up dead. They target John next, breaking into his home, but accidentally get his pregnant wife, who he obviously loves, that gets the bullets that were meant for him. He avenges her immediately, for the most part, by taking out the majority of the attackers, excluding one. John suffers some injuries but survives the break-in. Keep in mind, if these Navy SEALs were part of a hush-hush mission, how are their sudden deaths making news? Their lives literally belong to the government. Therefore, the government could have kept their deaths on the low. The deaths are somehow leaked. It's very sus. But I'm surprised the John character didn't automatically assume that someone in his government was corrupt because his team, the Navy SEALs, were sent into foreign land without knowing they would have to interact with foreign land military. In addition, when he initially met with Jodie Turner-Smith character, Lieutenant Commander Karen Greer, she basically told him how CIA was not going to get involved or investigate his fellow Navy SEALs' deaths. That alone is a sign of betrayal. That alone is something to look into, but he didn't. Despite the SEALs doing the CIA a solid, the CIA refuses to investigate their deaths, apparently not seeing it worth their time. The CIA doesn't want to help nor do their job by investigating things. Basically, the entire government doesn't care about these SEALs because no other entity investigates. So this movie is quite realistic in a way with this part. But John's commander and friend, Lieutenant Greer, helps him regardless, even passing him hush-hush information he's not supposed to have. John is still grieving, mind you, and absolutely has nothing to lose. He's very smart, and we see him later pretending to be drunk to track foreign diplomats coming and going. We see the foreign diplomat leaving an embassy or something of the sort. The diplomat has something to do with getting the assassins who killed his wife Pam into the country. John rams into the diplomat's car and handles his business. He gets in the car with his gun while the car is still aflame to interrogate the diplomat. As I said, nothing to lose. John gets the name of the surviving runaway assassin, Victor, and after getting that information that he needed, he tries to go about his day but gets arrested. He goes to prison, and they try to go into his cell at some point and do something, or so they thought. He whoops them up, and after fighting a bit, gets in contact with someone to bargain his way out. He uses the name of the runaway assassin, Victor, to do this. John is free to go about the mission to capture the runaway assassin on the condition he serves his sentence in prison once the mission is completed. They go back to the foreign country that they rescued the CIA agent from, and despite providing no help before, a CIA Black Ops team is offered and accompanies John and the lieutenant on the mission. Their plane is attacked and they crash. However, John and them get to their destination, but only to discover the CIA agent Ritter is there. John believes him to be fishy, and despite Ritter denying the accusations of leaking hush-hush information, John still doesn't trust him and makes sure everyone knows it. Ritter guides them on their mission. However, John eventually gets to the runaway assassin himself, who was a double agent of some sorts because he claims to be a CIA associate. Translation, he's not even really working for the foreign government that John thought he was. The guy is wearing an explosive vest and plans to bomb himself by choice. He sets the vest off while the team gets shot at. The local authorities mysteriously show up, and everyone realizes it was a setup by at-home entities that wanted them to die on their mission on foreign soil to justify starting a war. And I was surprised if he suspected the wrong guy and should have suspected the Thomas Clay dude. John looks out for the team and has their backs as they make their escape. He helps them leave by staying, then makes a distracting explosion as he calmly walks out, steals a uniform and masks to blend in, and finds a vehicle to escape in. Ritter covers for John by declaring him dead. At a later time, back in America, John finds the corrupt weasel that led to the death of his wife Pam and set up all the discord. John finds him in the bathroom, tricks him, chokes him out, gets him into the car, and makes him confess to leaking hush-hush information and everything else. This guy was a true menace. He even indicated that he was a bit disappointed or upset that John wouldn't die, and didn't show a care about John's wife dying or any remorse for what happened to those Navy SEALs. This guy tried to use his oath to justify killing other Americans in the name of American society, but trying to create a war would have led to further Americans dying. He was ridiculous. It was the entitlement for me. which is why I was very glad what John did next. Our man John runs the car into the river and off the bridge. Of course, he recorded the confession and ensures that the guy says his wife's name before he dies. It seems as if John was going to follow suit, but the lieutenant is there to help him out. She and Ritter help him get a new name. He bumps into Ritter a year later to form a team called Rainbow. And that's the end of it. This movie was very good to me. I wouldn't watch it again, but it was good because it's better than most action movies, and it had a concrete story, and it had Michael B. Jordan in it, so it's a win all the way around. Nevertheless, the John character was on his own mission, a mission of vengeance, and he did that. I'm surprised he didn't figure out things earlier, but it was cool. It was a very steady movie. Did this film have dramatic or unnecessary moments? Yes. It was far in between, but I will say this movie was very action-packed. Again, it's not something to watch over and over again for someone like me. For others who need the film's message to sink in, yes, but not for me. I got it. It was cool, and I'm good. And that's just my take on it, but feel free to leave comments about your own perception of this movie and how you felt about it. That's all for today. Stay tuned.